All right, guys, welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today we're going to be looking at my way too early top 10 Heisman list. Not much will probably change from now until when the season begins, but this is a nice little rough draft to dish out months before the season begins. Looking at some honorable mentions. Anthony Richardson, Florida. He's got a nice arm, explosive runner in the open field. What he can do as a dual-threat athlete, I think that deserves some notice. Spencer Rattler, South Carolina. Say what you want about Rattler. Yes, he got benched last year after being the Heisman favorite. He now goes to South Carolina, much quieter entry into the season. He's back with Shane Beamer. Austin Stogner also went over with him, so kind of some familiarity with them. This is an underrated player coming into the season. A lot of people are going to be bashing him. I think he's going to be looking to prove people wrong. He's still a top talent, so Rattler could have a big year for the Gamecocks. Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama. It's going to be a crowded backfield for the Crimson Tide, but Gibbs comes over from Georgia Tech. High-end talent coming out of high school. This guy can do it all. Run with ease. He can catch out of the backfield and make plays. He's even an asset on special teams, so Gibbs could have a big season, but the only reason he didn't make the top 10 is because he's going to be sharing a backfield with Jace McClellan, Trey Sanders, so touches will be hard to find. Braelon Allen, Wisconsin, he had like 1,200 yards last year after not getting the start until about week 4. I think he had 100-plus yards in 8 or 9 of the last few games. I think it was like 8 or 9 of the last 10. How many ever he started, he had 100 yards in all but one of those games. He was phenomenal for them. Bigger back, too, runs pretty fast as well. He's a very talented ball player. Hendon Hooker, Tennessee. This is a big year for Tennessee. They could potentially even win the East with the upside they have. We're not going to get too far into that, but he is playing in an up-tempo offense. I think he'll put up some numbers. This is his second year with Josh Heupel. They're getting back some good pass catchers, too. So Hendon Hooker deserves some recognition. Will Shipley from Clemson. He's a slice-and-dice runner. He can also catch it out of the backfield. He's going to be a big part of this offense that's going to look to have a resurgent 2022. He's going to be at the forefront of that, so Shipley rounds out this honorable mentions list. Looking at number 10, Devon Achane from Texas A&M. Achane's going to take over the lone running back role this season as Isaiah Spiller departs for the NFL. I think he's going to do wonders with it. The Aggies got good movement out of a particularly young offensive line this past season. Guys like Bryce Foster leading the way. Kenyon Green departs, but they're just going to reload this year on the offensive line because they replaced 4 starters last year, and I thought they did a pretty good job of replacing them. They're going to continue to develop, though, up front. Achane, he already has the skill set to be a big breakout star here in year 3. Nearly 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns the past 2 seasons as the number 2 back. 7.4 yards per carry. He's a speedster, runs with aggression. I like Achane. He's going to be one of my underrated Heisman candidate lists. Should be a big year for the Aggies, and he's going to be a big part of it as they like to run the ball. And moving to number 9, Jaxson Dart. We're not sure where he's going to play. It's going to be Oklahoma or Ole Miss as of me recording this. Likely, though, Dart, he's probably going to fall down this list a bit if he ends up with the Sooners just because he has to battle with Dylan Gabriel. And it's a clear-cut, open job at Ole Miss. So if he opts to continue his career for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels, then, this probability goes up a good bit. Either way, great fit for Dart. He's going to have a great career either way he goes. He showcased his high-end arm talent in 6 games for USC last season. Threw for 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns in just 6 games. 391 yards and 4 touchdowns in his first career game against Washington State. He was pressed into action, went off, and then he missed like 3 or 4 straight weeks of an injury. But Dart, I think this kid's going to be the real deal. Kiffin, he's been known as a guy that can maximize his passer's potential in this up-tempo offense. I think it's going to be a really good fit for Dart either way he goes. He'll be battling for the Heisman, I think. Number 8, Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. Hartman's coming off back-to-back big seasons, but this one was really his big breakout year. He just shattered school records for passing yards and touchdowns, 4,200 yards, 39 touchdowns. This is going to be his 5th season with the Demon Deacons, plenty of experience. He showcased his big playability in the offense. They scored 41 points per game. They ranked 3rd nationally in 30-plus yard passing plays. Big play offense. He also put on display his underrated dual threat prowess, I thought. He ran for 11 touchdowns. They gave him 50 total on the year, 363 yards rushing. This is a guy who's going to do a lot for this offense. I don't expect that to change, even though he is losing one of his top receivers, and Jaquil Roberson. So I'm pretty sure A.T. Perry's coming back. But regardless, they're going to have some new guys step up, which guys like Taylor Moton, I think will do that pretty well. This is going to be a good offense next year, led by the veteran. Number 7, TreyVon Henderson, Ohio State. He was by far the most impactful true freshman in college football last season. And, that was expected. I had pegged him as my number 1 impact true freshman coming into the 2021 season, but most didn't anticipate it to be to this degree. Me neither, he moves very well for being 215 pounds. He's tough to catch in the open field. He's not a burner by any means. He's still hard to crack down. He'll have ripped off a 40 to 60 yard run before you can catch him. The initial burst is just tremendous. Runs with a lot of toughness as well. Henderson, 1,255 yards, 15 touchdowns. Asset as a pass catcher too. 312 yards, 4 scores on 27 grabs. The Virginia native, he's going to be a big focal point of the Buckeye offense in 2022. Henderson, I'm surprised he didn't get more recognition last year for the Heisman, but he's certainly going to be in the running this year. Number 6, Will Anderson. For some reason, he wasn't invited to New York in December, and that's going to carry a big chip on his shoulder. He looks to replicate the biggest statistical season by a defender since Ndamukong Suh in 2009. 101 tackles, 33.5 tackles for loss, 17.5 sacks. He didn't record any numbers really against Georgia, but his impact was off the charts. He really set his teammates up to record numerous sacks, blew up a lot of plays. It's not always the stat sheet where your impact is felt. Both the latter, the tackles for loss and sacks, led the FBS. Anderson, he was the alpha dog of this defense. It was only his second season too. He's back. He's got incredible burst off the edge, just a general knack for playmaking. Anderson, he'll be even better next season. I don't think he's going to likely replicate those same numbers because those are absurd, but he's certainly going to be a big impact player, and if he does, then he should certainly be on the Heisman podium. Jaxson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State, speaking of being the focal point in the Ohio State offense, like I just said about TreyVon Henderson, JSN, he will be the focal point by a pretty wide margin. The route running, the run after catch, the hands, everything he brings to the table makes him far and away the best pass catcher in college football. His 347-yard effort in the Rose Bowl is going to live on forever. Despite having 2 presumable first-round picks playing next to him and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, it was Smith-Njigba who exploded for 1,600-plus yards, 9 scores. He had 95 receptions, put up 5 straight 100-plus yard games to end the season. This guy is impressive. I don't see anyone being able to slow him down. They can put him out wide, put him in the slot. It doesn't matter. This guy's going to be a star for the Buckeyes. Can't wait to see what him and C.J. Stroud can do in 22. Number 4, Bijan Robinson. He was in the running for the Heisman early in the season, but Texas, they stumbled down the stretch. They lost 6 in a row. Bijan fell out of consideration in the process. Robinson's vision is, second to none, really. His ability to cut complements it so well. 1,127 yards, 11 scores in those 10 games. And his numbers started to take a dive as the team started losing late in the year. He wasn't bad by any means, but it wasn't similar to early on in the year. He's going to be a focal point of this offense this coming season next to Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy. They got some really good talent. Week 2, they play Alabama, a big opportunity to make a statement. Bijan Robinson, he'll certainly be in the thick of the Heisman race. Number 3, Caleb Williams. He's still in the transfer portal as of me making this, as is Jaxson Dart, but regardless if he ends up at USC or potentially LSU, like some people are reporting he might go, wherever he ends up, he's going to be on the top 3 of everyone's Heisman lists. Williams, an absurd playmaker for the Sooners last year. His poise and all-around playmaking abilities, led the eye-popping plays, this past season where no one even expected him to start at all in 2021. The passing game wasn't always potent with Williams. He only averaged about 174 yards a game through the year, but his arm certainly shined periodically, en route to 21 touchdowns. Only had 4 picks. Williams was highly explosive as a runner, too. 435 yards, 6 scores. He had a big rushing touchdown against Texas. He had one against Kansas. Made some big plays against TCU and the Horns as well with his arm. So Williams is going to be the real deal. He'll likely end up at USC, and I think he'll have, 40-plus touchdown type of season, regardless of where he ends up. Number 2, C.J. Stroud. Stroud, he was my pick to win the Heisman in 2021, and despite coming up just shy, he will be a favorite to claim it this upcoming season, no doubt. Stroud had at least 3 presumable first-round pass catchers to work with, but he was more than just a distributor. Stroud delivered highly impressive throws in tight windows. His immense resilience was highly impressive, and the confidence, too, in the Buckeyes' biggest games of the year, that is, against Utah. It was like a 4th and short, inside the 20 or inside the 30, and he decides to go to the end zone and ends up being a touchdown. He has immense confidence. There was many times throughout the year they were 3rd and long, 4th downs in those big games where it didn't matter. He was able to make a great play. And, against Michigan, it was a long 3rd down. He threw an incredible ball to one of his pass catchers, threw a nice touchdown. right over the fingertips of Aiden Hutchinson the next play. Just his poise, his confidence, it's kind of off the charts, pretty ridiculous. Great deep ball thrower as well. The California native ended the season with 4,435 yards, 44 touchdowns, and only 12 games of work. Bryce Young, who's number one heading in the next year, he played 15 games. These guys had pretty identical stats. It's not often the reigning Heisman Trophy winner returns to college football, especially one this good. But Bryce Young, he has a great shot of becoming only the second player to win the award twice, Archie Griffin being the other. I think Lamar Jackson was the last player that actually returned to school after winning the Heisman. It could be wrong on that, but it does not happen very often. So that's why it's tough to get these two-time winners. But Young flat out carried the football team at times. His ability to make plays on the run, from the pocket with precision, it really stood out all year long. Young shattered previous school records with almost 4,900 yards passing, 47 touchdowns. He had 559 late in the year versus Arkansas. That also did the same thing, broke a school record. Young had 2 picks in the national title loss, the second one coming on that last drive as it was returned for 6 to put the game on ice. And that's going to likely lead to this prodigy of a player playing with a chip on his shoulder. So Bryce Young, I'd be shocked if I wouldn't be shocked if he won back-to-back Heismans. He's going to have a great opportunity. Alabama's going to be tough to beat next year, so he's going to be number one on this list and probably will be for most of the season. That's going to wrap it up for today. Leave below your early pick for the Heisman. Who did I leave off the list? See you next time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.